Now, going over to the Culture Pride podcast, you have Star Wars will have a trans stormtrooper, and including a trans flag, as they apparently continue to deviate from the core message of Star Wars and lean into controversy, even after the CEO said, "Oh yeah, we're not going to do that anymore." How Bob Iger sells a job is beyond me. Brilliant, in terms of work ethic. He started sweeping floors at ABC way back in the day and worked his way up all the way corporate ladder to CEO. And he built it up. He left. Then Bob Chapek took over. Then Bob came back, and day one he's like, all right, we're gonna get out of politics, get out of controversy. Which again, North America, this is a very controversial thing, especially this particular programming. This is like a cartoon. It's aimed towards kids, and yet they continue to lean into this. And yet, in spite of losing money every time they do a material that's controversial, I mean, how Kathleen Kennedy sells a job is beyond me. Now, this is first reported by Tom over the Daily Mail, in which they say, quote, Star Wars unveils a first look of its first trans woman stormtrooper called Sister, with armor in the color of the transgender flag. Which you'll get a visual on screen. For a second, I thought it was Predator from the Alien vs. Predator movie. But, no, apparently no, it's this new stormtrooper, which we'll get into the nuances of how mentally vacuous this is in terms of the intellectual property of George Lucas and how it makes no sense. But we'll read the article first. They say, quote, Star Wars has introduced its first transgender stormtrooper, a move that has left fans of the beloved Star Wars sci-fi franchise divided. The name Sister, which that's not really a name. It's people have sisters, but their name, what? Granted, maybe I don't have much ground to stand on in that regard since my name is Topping, but I partially digress. They say, quote, name Sister, she, do they mean he? Wait, was it a trans woman? Yeah. Oh, whoops, the video's now not on YouTube. Another reason to tune in at rumble.com, where freedom is always there, and they don't take down my videos where I critique certain politicians or bring up lawsuits around certain things that are in certain vials, etc., etc. But they say, quote, it is clad in armored painted with blue and pink on the transgender flag and pictured for the first time in a new book released earlier this week. The dreadlocked sporting soldier first appeared in a reference article in 2022 at Queen's New Hope, but 4 years later depicted in fan art, which, fan art's fan art. I'm not going to critique. That's George Lucas. You could sue them if they try to sell it, but you really can't critique that too much in terms of the business, shutting them down, so to say. Now they say, her story and the picture will be featured in Star Wars The Secrets of the New Clone Troopers, which added her to the franchise official lore, which, I'll get into the nuances of Star Wars. I know a little bit about the good old Leonard Nimoy and Kirk. That's a pun or a joke because, I know it's a different franchise. But nevertheless, weren't these all supposed to be clones of Jango Fett or one of the Fetts? Boba, Jango, whatever the guys is. So they're all supposed to be this biological man. They're all supposed to be the same thing. So maybe the Empire is they're paying for the surgeries? I mean, the U.S. government's doing that for our military, so maybe. I mean, this is supposed to be for the future. Maybe that'll be the standard. They say, quote, but the new characters edition has left fans of the galaxy very far, far away saga split, which has been branding it as utterly insane, gender cult worship, moronic, while others raging it was batshit crazy. Which, you can see the armor. Looks like some looks like it has bastardized futuristic Crocs as well for boots. Which, I don't know about that. They also say, quote, oh, sorry. I remember Star Wars used to be about, space wizards, epic adventures, and lightsabers. Now it's gone to craps as one person on X. Now, looks like the rest of it is just critiquing it, so we'll actually go to the good old X Twitter. Now this comes from Sue Libs of TikTok. She says, quote, breaking Star Wars unveils first transgender clone named Sister. Captain Rex says Sister is one that expressed her gender identity differently than her fellow troopers, and she had to hide who she truly was on the inside. So they gave her the name Sister as a constant reminder where she belonged. I mean, for a second, I thought this was an article or the advertisement for the U.S. Army, since I'm pretty sure they pay for this as well. Now, this went pretty well. I got 1.1 million views and 10,000 likes. The first one comes from Valentina Gomez. Says they're turning everything gay. These F words have to stop saying indoctrinating our youths. Game 4.6 thousand likes. Jeez. And Disney is kind of becoming a meme in and of itself. Liberal Cat Media TM says, oh, for F's sakes, will this be next? And it's a picture of a large African American man, and it says Disney Little Mermaid. And 3.4 thousand likes. Paul Zupa says Star Wars already ruined this by ruined. So this is like shitting on shit. Gained 1.2 thousand likes. Upnomics says, make it stop. And so, what is the Swiffer girls? Yeah, it was Taylor Swift's girlfriend or boyfriend looking guy for a while. But the guy's on the Chiefs, one of the sports ball teams. He's yelling at the coach, and the guy yelling, the sports ball guy, the Travis or Tyler Kelsey, some girly name. He's labeled LGBT propaganda, and the coach is feel bad for that old coach. He's got this player yelling in his face, and he says, "Me just trying to live my life." I got 2.9 thousand likes. Whiskey Hell says, "Wait, they're clones. Oh, never mind. This is Disney screwing with things yet again." Got it. Getting 1,000 likes. So there's an AI image of C-3PO and R2-D2. And this from Final Cut title says, "Star Wars is terrible now." And C-3PO is saying, I'm fluent in over 6 million genders. They got 2.4 thousand likes, which, what was it? The Accolade, which, that failed epically. And the director of that said that they wanted to make men feel uncomfortable, and they thought that the robots were gay. I'm not being bombastic or putting words on their mouth. They literally said that in an awkward interview, which, yeah, people say I'm awkward sometimes. That interview with the Accolade director was the most awkward thing ever. Drew Noble says, instead of Luke, it's Lube Skywalker puts the Force in Forced. I got 915 likes. Olia says it's over, and it's a stormtrooper, this time regular stormtrooper. But no, it's got the trans flag painted on the armor. It says, "What agenda?" Getting 462 likes. Ray says, "Damn it, they're going RoboCop. They got RoboCop too." And someone did a Photoshop with RoboCop is now African American man with a head. It says HomoCop. Got 759 likes. Pumpanovic says, "No, not again." And it says Netflix presents Polar Bears and it's Black Bears. Got 1,000 likes. Let's see. Any contrarian statements here? Someone has a picture of George Lucas apparently saying, look how they massacred my boy, getting 191 likes, which, Jesus, in regards to Senior Legacy being utterly decimated and destroyed, I can't imagine how bad George Lucas feels. Like, all of his ideas just crapped on. Like, was it really worth the money, George? Like, I know he wanted to spend more time with the kids and, pass this on and have the story continue. But, I mean, Disney has done what I thought was impossible. They made the newer Star Wars from like the 90s, 2000s eras look good. That's how far they declined, where they just copy paste the same. It is just that bad at Disney. They achieved the unachievable. I thought it couldn't get worse than when they had Jar Jar Binks and Christian Hayden and the other guy. Ewan McGregor did do an exceptional job acting, but the whole story the dialogue in the story was so bad. I thought they were bad back then. Now I think they're worse of art in comparison. And I don't know who they're expanding their market. So don't get me wrong. Some people will watch Star Wars just because they are doing this. Now the question is, business-wise, as well as morality, well, business-wise, will this make you more money? In places like San Francisco, yes, the number of people watching Star Wars will probably increase by 10 times, maybe even 15x. Maybe they'll have screenings at the park in San Francisco. That's not out of the realm of possibility. But in terms of the average American, the average prospective client, and keep in mind, a lot of parents are still, in the United States, it's a huge cultural debate of transitioning, and even in that community, they have debates on, what's appropriate or what they consider. Is it drugs? Is it a scalpel? There's debates when it comes to this topic. Now, most average parents, and I know parents that on all sides of the political aisle, as this has also become a political issue in the United States, but there's a lot of folks where they just want to have their kids watch something without having stuff crammed down their throat and having controversial things shoved in their face. It is, I believe, the number one reason why Disney is crashing like a Boeing airplane. It's just they make more and more things that are controversial. The stories have become so diluted and rudimentary. And of all the jobs AI could do good, I would say AI should just take over Disney. It couldn't get much worse. And shoot, I had the Fast and Furious franchise to that as well, as they just copy paste more and more. Almost like Fast and Furious, as well as Disney in general, reminds me of a fun experiment. And I was going to say, it's one of those things where if you take a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy, every time you do that, the image degrades, which I think is a very accurate metaphor for Disney. They used to be considered a blue chip stock a couple of decades ago, which is a financial term where you knew you weren't going to get rich overnight. It wasn't going to spike up like a tech stock necessarily, but you knew throughout history it was a stable company that continued to grow and provide good returns. And now, I mean, Disney stock is, geez, that thing fluctuates up and down, up and down, up and down, and the sales for the movies continue to go negative. It's terrible. So and they don't seem to be turning the ship around. They say they are. I mean, Bob Iger, when he came back, said, "Hey, we're getting rid of all the controversy. We're not going to sue Florida anymore. We're not going to get involved in things that aren't to our core business." And yet, they clearly do not. And in a true ironic twist, like many businesses are creating their own competition. You have companies like Daily Wire making kids cartoons, and things are more devoid of controversy, and they're growing exponentially. So I'm not sure what they're thinking of doing at Disney, but they drove away a lot of their internal talent when they had different ideologies. So a lot of the people who were less controversial or less extreme at Disney, I mean, they've long been kicked out of the company. So I'm not sure how they can rebuild it, or even if they want to. But yeah, let's just say I don't think this is going to be a prudent business idea. I think they're going to probably lose money on this, as it's really controversial in the United States, and especially in the short term. I mean, we see demographics, you see trends and consumer preferences and everything change throughout time. I mean, I don't think this is going to be. I really debate if this will ever be a positive ROI for Disney in this direction. But let me know in the comments. Do you think this is a good, prudent business move? Do you think they'll increase their sales because of it? Let me know, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.